Let's rejoin my interview with Jonathan Van Ness from AIDS 2020 Virtual. And you have been so great at using your platform and your voice, whether it be through Queer Eye or through your book or through your tours with social media, to really raise awareness around U equals U. And for me, I feel like, as someone living with HIV, U equals U is the most cost-effective, easy to digest public health service announcement to smash HIV stigma, but it's still not breaking through to those communities that you just mentioned. What does U equals U mean? And what do you think we need to do to really get that message out?
Yeah, I mean, I think the onus is not on Black people, Black and brown people, and minorities and people of color. That's not where the stigma lies. I think that so much of the stigma is actually perpetuated by governmental inaction and by legislatures, right? Because even just in this past 2 weeks, we've had the Trump administration roll back healthcare protection for transgender people. They've defunded Planned Parenthood and their Title X program, which granted like hundreds of thousands of dollars to HIV testing in the United States, which they've, defunded. So, the stigma, I believe, has been from the government from the beginning. I mean, the Reagan administration had horrific inaction on HIV/AIDS, and while we have made progress, it has been largely in defiance of and swimming upstream against the stigma that has come from, so many governmental leaders on their way down. So I think it's so important that there is stigma for HIV in Black communities and brown communities and Latino communities and gay communities and white communities and all the communities. And really, I think the onus is on, because really, if you are in a southern state or a state that has really a poor access to social safety net when it comes to HIV, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're living with HIV, it is going to be very difficult for you to access your health care. And that is because of state legislatures. So, and that is, really the onus is so much on, that's really so much of the conversation that we're having right now in the United States, because the legacy of slavery and the legacy of Jim Crow laws and the legacies of segregation have created this situation where we have such unequal access to healthcare in the United States. So it's a very layered conversation. It's a really important conversation, but I do think that the stigma, I think, is continuing to be so pervasive because we have not dealt with how HIV has interacted with racism and transphobia and the legacies of homophobia and racism and transphobia all bottled together.
Yeah. The International AIDS Conference is a place where the world's activists, scientists, health professionals, policymakers, we all come together during this amazing conference this year virtually with a single goal: to help end AIDS. What inspiration do you draw from this community?
Well, the first question, I think, is resilience. And as a community, the HIV positive and HIV AIDS community has been so resilient since its inception. I think without the support of so many governments and in the face of so much homophobia and transphobia associated with getting access to healthcare for people that are dealing with HIV, just resilience. And I take so much resilience, I take so much inspiration, and our community is a beautiful, diverse community of just amazingly strong and talented and just incredible people. So I take that, and I also just think that, as a community, it's like we just have every reason to kind of stick together, because we have everyone who I think is living with HIV and is navigating this course. We have all felt what it is to feel oppressed, not taken care of, and subjected to, literal state-sanctioned discrimination. So I think it's so important that as a community now we really work together and stick together to end that.